Hey guys, this is Isaac, and in this video we'll be talking about ways to handle errors in Solidity. So we'll talk about the throw keyword, we'll talk about the revert, require, and assert functions. Just to be clear, these are functions. Let's make this. Solidity provides various functions for handling errors. And generally, when an error occurs in a smart contract, the state is reverted back to its original state before that particular function which generated the error was called. Before Solidity version 0.4.10, when these error functions were not introduced yet, they were making use of the throw keyword, which is used to throw errors. So a way to do was to use an if statement. Once you test the condition, and then you throw an error. This is what was being used before. And since the 0.4.11, Solidity introduces three functions. The revert function is used to throw an error and also revert the state of the contract. So once we check a condition, this should return true. Once we check a condition, we revert the smart contract. Just to see what I mean by it reverts to the previous state, we'll create a public variable here. Then in here, we'll change the value of this variable, and let's give this here. Okay, let's make this public. So once we call this function, it changes the state variable, and once it encounters an error, it reverts, which means the state variable will no longer be 11. So go back to the previous state, which was 10. Just to see this, we'll deploy this contract. Okay. And if we check, the variable is 10, and once we call this function, we check the variable, it still remains at 10 because this function threw an error, which is here. The revert function also takes an error message, so you can show an error of why this function occurred. So we can say condition not met. And once you do this, and we try, let's deploy this contract again. So if you should look at this, you'll see a reason why you see a reason why this error occurred. So condition not met. In a revert function, it takes a parameter which you can use to specify a reason why the code encountered an error. The require function is used to mostly validate inputs. So this stuff we did here, it also reverts the state of the contract. This trail line of code we did here, we can do it with the require function, and what we'll just do here is require also it accepts a parameter which is optional, where you can specify the reason why the code failed. So I'll just copy this. This require function requires this condition to be met, and if not, it throws an error with this as its reason. The assert function is just like the require function. It reverts the state of the smart contract. This method is to be used for internal errors. We can just assert the assert function doesn't accept the reason parameter, so the assert function just accepts the condition. So the require function is mostly used to validate variables or maybe user input. So if our function takes an argument, we can require that this argument, this value the user passes to us, shouldn't be less than 9. So once this user passes a number less than 9, our code will throw an error. While the revert function is mostly used when you have a nested if statements. Perhaps the variable you're trying to check isn't created until maybe the third level of your if statement. Then you can make use of the revert. But once it's a simple check like this, instead of having to write this 3 lines of code, you could just shorten it into a one line with the require function. The assert function is used to prevent conditions which should never ever be possible in a smart contract. Most times people use the assert function to check overflows, which we'll talk about sometime in this series. I just remembered that I did something in my modifier. Okay, right here we made it of an if statement. So I said when we talk about this we are going to change it, so I'll just change it now. We will require that the message of value is greater or equal to the price. And we'll just have to do this. So we'll clear this out. Right. So there you have it, my video on error handling in Solidity. Hope you loved this video, and if you did, like this video, and if you didn't, dislike this video. Also, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to this channel and turn on post notification. I hope to see you in another YouTube video. Bye.